And just give me like another 30 seconds. I'll move to a slightly better Wi-Fi connection just in case. Yeah. Can you all still see my screen and hear me well? Is my voice okay? And
Yes.
you can see.
Yes,
All right.
it is.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Yeah. Okay, perfect. So what I'll do is, as you've already shared, I will not spend too much time on talking about myself nor my company. So we will just sort of maybe just skip through some of these thoughts. You can obviously read more about us on our website as well, which is www.bod.consulting. But I want to spend more time on our topics. A quick summary of the 3 important topics that we've been trying to cover over the last few weeks, followed by at least trying to help you resolve some of your queries. I don't promise I'll resolve everything in a couple of minutes. I think there are no magic wands, but maybe help you think a little bit differently about your problems, right? So there are 3 broad topics. One pertaining to market analysis. The second is pertaining to competitor dynamics, which of course is part of the market. And the third is how do you really go to market? A very often used jargon. So we'll try to sort of unlock that for you a bit. Fundamentally, my approach to training is by asking you more questions so that you're able to reflect about some of your unique situations. Generally speaking, when I'm coaching or consulting clients, I try not to use the word challenge or problem. So a better word is situation. You're in a unique situation. And, when we think about challenges and problems, we tend to get a bit stressed. Oh my God, how am I going to overcome this? Whereas you're not always supposed to overcome your challenges and problems. You just have to manage your situations or address your situations in a way that you can be more effective, not necessarily more productive, but more effective in addressing your unique situation. So the kind of questions I want to put forward in front of you is, are we thinking big enough? Do we really know what is the size of our market? And where exactly are we operating within that? Is it possible for us to increase the size of the market you'd like to compete in? Or for that matter, sometimes do the reverse. Decrease the size of the market you're competing in. If you are not able to be focused or you're not able to create enough value for a larger market. And that brings me to a related question. Have we gone wrong with targeting? Or are we targeting right? Do we know who exactly our customer is? Are we trying to serve way too many customers and not having sufficient bandwidth to be able to really address them? And especially when it comes to competitive dynamics, now you have more than one player, that is more than you. There are other players also operating in the market, also trying to serve a customer who's very similar to your customer or your target customer, also part of the so-called TAM or the SAM, as we'll talk about it. So now, when all of you are in that ecosystem, do you know what your relative strengths and weaknesses are? Strengths and weaknesses are not so absolute as we tend to think. They're quite relative to other players in the market. And can that help us differentiate from our competitors much better? And if we can't compete very successfully, have we explored the possibility of collaborating with them? So in a way that you both are successful, you create a win-win with your competitors. So that's something that we'll briefly chat about. And then finally, as you move to the go-to-market strategy, so the kind of question we need to ask is, how should you reach your target market? What's the best path? What is the best way or flow for you to get to them? And how will you ensure that you can leverage the power of distributors to sell your product or service? And very, very importantly, do you know how to price your product well? Are you using the right pricing strategy, which is more suited for you? Or you're just simply following what everybody else does or you don't know much about this particular subject at all. So first topic first, when we spoke about market analysis in the last couple of sessions, there was a lot of emphasis on understanding your relative position in the market, which essentially, with respect to some very, very crucial definitions, which you should all be familiar with by now, if you're an entrepreneur. One is TAM, right? So total addressable market. So what is the total global opportunity for your product or service? So as large as you can imagine. This is where sky is the limit. This is something which can be very attractive for most people when they're getting into entrepreneurship, but it can also be misleading into making you believe that you can service the whole market, which is why we have a sub-segment of the TAM, which is the serviceable addressable market, what you can actually serve in reality. But that's also sometimes not enough. There is a further sub-segmentation of the market, which you call as the target market, describing who you will eventually market to in the market that you can serve, and the people who will actually buy what you're trying to sell. You can serve a very large market, but the number of buyers who really relate to your product or service, or who value what you really brought to the table, or they care about your value proposition, or they really relate to your positioning, will still be much fewer than the SAM. And within that, of course, you have your competitive landscape, the second topic that we will cover. And therefore, you will have a certain market share. You may not have the whole market, the whole target market available to you, because the competitors are also trying to do something. They are perhaps also attending a session like this, or they're able to serve their competitors really well through their own differentiation strategies. So fundamentally, if you look at it, you can try to look for competitors in TAM, but you should not lose your sleep over it. You can try to look for competitors in SAM also, but don't lose your sleep over it. But where you should really pay attention to your competitors is in the target market. The actual customers that you sell to, who are the other players in the market who are selling to the same customer, something which is very similar to your products and services, or as close as possible to your product or service, because that is where you'll be able to really determine your market share. Okay. I just seen a message in chat that says the internet is unstable. Is my internet okay? Are you all able to hear me?
Yes.
We can hear you.
All right, great. Thank you. Yeah. I just want to make sure I'm not talking to myself and re-educating myself. Yeah. Okay. All right. So that's TAM, SAM, target market, and market share. And then if you recall, I had shared an example with you of actually a client in the beauty and personal care segment in India. And we figured out that the TAM is about $27.23 billion, which is huge. I can feel very excited about it, but I should not, because it's just very confusing and misleading at times. But within that, there are specific SAMs. There's a face care SAM, there's a sun protection SAM, there's a hair care SAM, maybe areas where I actually currently operate in or I have products or services. And there could be a couple of untapped categories or untapped SAMs, like body care, shower and bath, cosmetic, shaving, oral, and so on. And within that face care, again, there could be sub-segments. There could be this face care products which are really only recommended by a dermatologist or prescribed by a dermatologist. Or there could be stuff which I can buy over the counter. And within over the counter, there could be other segments, like a very premium product, maybe an organic product. There could also be something which is, okay, somebody needs to go on mute.
I request, please mute yourself.
Yeah. Yes, all right. And so within that face care segment, within the over-the-counter space, there could still be further sub-segments, something which is very affordable personal care cream or a sunscreen, or something which is very high-end, using some very, very special chemical compositions which use expensive ingredients. Or it could be an organic range, which is very, very safe, but maybe not as effective. Or it could be dermatologist recommended or prescribed. So if you notice, there is so much of sub-segmentation which keeps happening before you really reach your target market. better aligned with your product. So while the big picture looks like 27.23 billion, but the micro picture could be a lot more smaller. And within that micro picture, then you need to look at what can be my potential market share and who really are my competitors. So you have to start thinking about your market in this particular format. I know I've over summarized it for you, or maybe oversimplified, but I thought as an illustration, it will still be useful for you to really appreciate what we are talking about. There's a very interesting question. Do we need to calculate and reintrospect market analysis yearly, or is it only for the initial stages? So when you're starting out, for sure, you should do it because you're entering the market. And you must try to look at your market size and market share at least once every year, right? And because also you're adding new products. So as you add new products and new categories with time, you need to do a market analysis for them as well. So I would say every time you want to launch a new category or a new product, that's the time you should do it, and do it at least one every year or 1.5 years, just to see have things changed dramatically. Usually things don't change overnight. If at all your market is growing at, let's say, 6% or 8%, if you see the CAGR over here, you know that even if it doesn't grow at 8, it might grow at 6, which is not going to be a huge change, unless and only there's an earth-shattering event. So look at your market sizing at least every 1 to 2 years after you've initially done it for every product or category you enter. So, and when, of course, you're setting your goals, this will also help you in deciding how you will drive growth for your business, right? So, for example, if X's current market opportunity, target market size is 8.28 billion, and they're operating in face care, sun protection, and hair care, and their market share is about 0.07%. If they had to double their sales every month from 4 crores to 8 crores, they can do that by actually expanding within the current market opportunity. That means selling more and more to their target customers in the face care, sun protection, and hair care segment. Or they could increase their sales also by entering into new categories like body care, shower, and bath. So there are 2 ways in which you could actually potentially double your share, right? So this kind of an analysis will help you not just set targets for your sales, but also help you figure out how you're going to grow or where you're going to grow, right? So that's why market analysis is of immense value, and also to know who really your competitor is. If you say that, hey, everybody in personal care and beauty is my competitor, I think that's a wrong notion, because they may be your competitors in the TAM, but TAM is not where you operate. You operate in the target market, right? So that's why this analysis is of great value. And that brings us to the second topic for today, which is competitor dynamics. Now that we know who our competitors are in the target market that we want to really operate in, it might be very useful to do a SWOT analysis to figure out your strengths and weaknesses and those of your competitors who are also trying to serve the same customer. Because that's what's going to help you really understand whether you're able to differentiate against them. But again, remember that it's not just about differentiating. It's not just about saying, hey, I'm more unique than you in so-and-so thing. It is also about figuring out if that uniqueness is valued by your customer, by your target customer. Just because you're different doesn't make you more valued. A lot of times I've seen entrepreneurs getting into this trap of trying to over-differentiate themselves, and in the process, creating products and services or offerings which are perhaps very unique and different, but customers don't value that enough, right? So you have to be, striking that right balance between differentiation and value creation so that you're still very, very relevant for your target customers. And sometimes, you realize that it actually makes sense to not keep fighting with your competitors. You want to collaborate with them to create, again, value for the customers. So,
Hello.
Yes, please. Would request people to be on mute till I finish my slides, and then I think we can take the questions. Yeah. Thank you. So when you're doing your SWOT analysis, it helps you analyze your position. So there are a 2x2 grid like this one. You can quickly note it down or draw it, on a piece of paper. Now, when you look at the x-axis at the bottom row, right? It talks about external origin or attributes of your environment, the external environment. So things which are outside your organization and how they impact you. There are two kinds of such attributes. One will fit into opportunities, and another set of attributes will fit into threats. So opportunities are always coming from outside, right? And threats are also coming from outside. So you should be able to analyze your external environment very carefully to really understand where are the opportunities and the threats to your business. But there is something which is very internal to your organization. The internal attributes, they originate inside your organization. That's what we call them as strengths and weaknesses. They're very unique to you. Nobody knows them. Nobody cares about them. Only you know them, as long as you don't declare it openly. And when you look at strengths and weaknesses and opportunities and threats, there's another way to look at it. If you look at the first vertical column, strengths and opportunities are actually quite helpful in achieving your objectives, whereas weaknesses and threats are a deterrent to achieving your objectives. So which means if you keep adding on to the strengths and opportunities, then you keep reducing or managing your weaknesses and threats, or you mitigate the risks because of the threats, you are actually working for the benefit of your business. You're eliminating or at least reducing the impact of the deterrence, and you're increasing the positive impact of the helpful elements like strengths and opportunities to support your business. But this is a very, very essential analysis. It is taught in MBAs as well, but very often we don't care about it. It's very, very useful to know a snapshot of your business's current status. It helps in strategic decision making and also in really identifying if at all you have any competitive edge which your competitors will find very difficult to replicate. And we also discussed about lots of strategies to withstand competitive pressure and threats. So I'll very quickly read out all of them for you just to sort of act as a recall and a reminder. There is obviously the cost leadership strategy, which is entirely aimed at lowering your costs in the industry. So whatever your target market is within the SAM, which is part of the larger TAM, but within that target market, if you are the lowest in your costs, you have a rare advantage, very difficult to get. Then that's assuming you don't compromise on quality. Usually happens when you do things at a scale, but it's a wonderful opportunity to be able to differentiate or withstand competitive pressure. The other strategy is differentiation strategy. So what you do is you look at your products and services and see, can I create very unique or distinct products and services, things which are not very common in the market, so you stand out. The third is you focus. You say that I'm going to specialize in a certain area and I'll be the best in that particular area, for that segment or niche. The fourth strategy to withstand competitive pressure and threat is the innovation strategy. So you continuously introduce new products, features, technology advancements, and whenever your customers look at you, they see you as, oh, I'm going to get something new from them every time they come out with their announcements. So they look forward to it. And then you have the market expansion strategy. So what you say is, hey, in this market, wherever I'm operating, it's bloodbath. Right? Everybody is here. It's very fragmented, very few customers and too many competitors. So can I enter new geographies, or can I target a totally new set of customer segments where the competitive intensity is a lot lower? So you have to be careful about looking for such hints as well. And sometimes you withstand competitive pressure by your pricing strategy. So you deploy various kinds of pricing tactics to influence customer behavior. For example, you could bundle your products in such a way that you become more attractive than the single units sold. And then there is disruptive strategy. This is one step ahead innovation. So you introduce innovative products and services, not just that they're new and different, but they're also capable of disrupting the traditional market dynamics. So something which can completely substitute what's already existing as a very, very successful offering. And then you have partnerships and alliances. Sometimes you find it, again, very challenging to operate in isolation. So what you do is, hey, can I collaborate with other businesses who complement me to create synergies and expand our capability set so that we become more attractive for, let's say, the customers. And then, some organizations or entrepreneurs are deeply obsessed about their customers. They start with the philosophy, customer is God. They want to be very customer centric. They always care about customer delight and customer experience. Now, this is the customer centric strategy. So you focus on providing exceptional customer service, maybe personalization, maybe customization, but you do that. And finally, you've got the co-opetition strategy. So you basically collaborate with competitors to achieve mutual benefits. So these are the 10 strategies. So you don't have one, you've got more than one. And the good news is you can also use more than one. Don't try to do all 10 because you're just going to spend too much time trying to create value in every way. But pick up at least 2 or 3, which as a combination can really, really help you withstand competitive pressure and threat, which, by the way, as I explained, is very, very external. That's where the threat part of it is very competition oriented. So we also shared an example of a company which was able to use 4 of the strategies in that list to really differentiate or act very, very differently from the rest of the competitors. So we obviously know Domino's for 30 minutes for free, and they do guarantee fresh hot pizza delivered in 30 minutes. So a disruptive strategy in place. So you're becoming a delivery company that can deliver hot pizzas fast to customers. So you're disrupting the current norms. And this is when they did it. Of course, now there are many players who try to do this. The pricing strategy, provide pizza at the lowest rate as compared to the competition. Customer-centric strategy, keep listening, take feedback, regularly monitor so that you keep improving your pizza and delivery services. And innovation strategy, keep introducing pizzas on the basis of Indian flavors and with both premium and standard pricing. So if you notice, you can use many of these strategies and not just one. Although one of them might become really, really the one that stands you out, like in case of Domino's, it was really the disruptive strategy of delivering hot pizzas fast to customers and then giving it free if they weren't able to fulfill their promise. And then we also spoke about the possibilities of collaboration. So there were a couple of examples that I shared last time as well. So the cafe coffee blend collaboration. So you collaborate on exclusive coffee blends available at each other's outlets, cafe, coffee day, and barista. The holistic fitness package. So CultFit collaborated with Sattva Yoga Studio. So customers who were joining fitness classes at CultFit received discounted yoga sessions at Sattva. The electronics exchange program, very, very interesting. So Chroma and Vigisales who compete tooth and nail for the same customer, but here customers could actually trade their old electronics at either store for discounts on new purchases. So you're, in a way, while you're competing, but you're collaborating in a few areas that can create more value for the customer. So remember, at the end of the day, the goal is to create more value. And that takes us to our final topic before we open the Q&A. How can you price your product effectively? How can you best reach and serve your target market? And how can you ensure your distributors are excited about selling your product? So we discussed 6 very important elements of the go-to-market strategy. Start with identifying your target market. We already discussed it. Clarify your value proposition. So what is the value you're offering against the cost or the price which the customer will pay to that target market which you've identified, because of which they're going to be dealing with you. Define your pricing strategy, because remember, value proposition is subjective. It is with respect to the cost which a customer pays. So make sure your pricing strategy is right. Once you have that in place, put together your promotion strategy. How are you going to send out your messages? Find the right channels for sales and distribution, and finally set metrics and monitor your performance. So just these 6 things, if you do well while developing your go-to-market or GTM strategy, I think you're on the go. And then you keep improving. Remember that it's not about setting this once. So somebody asked a very good question, right? That should we do market analysis every year, every day, every month? Perhaps no. Similarly, when you're developing your go-to-market, it's iterative at times. You might start putting your answers right now, but you can keep improving for the next 3 months as you learn more and more from the market. And then you can review again after 6 months and see, hey, is my target market still okay? Has something changed? Is my value proposition still making sense? Am I okay with my pricing? Do I need to make changes? Is my promotion effective? Sometimes it's effective for a couple of months and then it becomes ineffective. So you have to keep improving your go-to-market approach. This is not a one-time thing. You have to keep iterating and improving. Same goes with your sales and distribution channel. Have I explored all channels? Are there better channels available for me? Am I doing justice to the current channels? And then, of course, metrics are things which you need to anyway review at least every month without fail. And then, of course, there is a wide range of pricing strategies, something which, we get sort of bogged down by. We can't think beyond cost competitiveness, but we don't realize that there's so many things that you can really do. So the penetration pricing is all about attracting customers with initially low prices to swiftly gain market share. You see a lot of early stage startups doing it, especially if they're backed by VC funding. So get them at lower cost and then gradually keep increasing the price. So Uber did that very, very successfully. Or you straight away say that, hey, my product is the highest quality. I appeal to a niche market, and therefore you should be willing to pay for exclusivity. That's premium pricing. Skimming pricing is you set high initial prices. So that's the opposite of penetration pricing. Then gradually lowering them to capture revenue from early adopters. Value-based pricing is when you align prices with the perceived customer value, focusing on benefits and satisfaction. So you keep adapting. Psychological pricing, of course, we know this is very famous. Sorry, somebody needs to go on mute. So psychological pricing, very similar to what Bata did in India many, many years ago. Everybody uses the Bata strategy. So influence customer perception by using pricing tactics like $9.99 for the perception of a lower cost. Or bundle pricing, where you offer products together at a reduced price to encourage additional purchases and enhance value. Or a freemium model, something is free, the basic version, but you monetize through premium features. Very, very effective in the SaaS models or software as a service models. And then you have the dynamic pricing, adjusting prices in real time based on demand and market conditions. So this is what a lot of the travel companies do or the airline companies do. Geographic pricing, so you customize prices based on geographic locations. So you basically say that, hey, the same product sold in Banaras may be a little bit cheaper as compared to selling in Delhi, because the real estate prices, especially if you're a retail venture, would be very, very different. Competitive pricing. So you basically set prices in line with or slightly below competitors to gain a competitive advantage. So if you have a very close reference competitor and your customer knows that they can compare the two of you, so you try to be a little bit competitive in your pricing with respect to them, or stay very close to them, if not lower. So these are the 10 pricing strategies. And then last but not the least, the customer journey for crafting a seamless journey. So again, if you're going to be customer obsessed, especially for service-oriented businesses, this is very, very important. You identify your customer, you map the journey, be present actively on all touch points, and then you optimize, continuous optimization at each stage to create customer delight. So this is a typical example of a home bakery's customer journey. So customer might discover you on Instagram or some flyer they receive with the paper or word of mouth. The customer goes to explore your website, maybe a very user-friendly website, beautiful looking cakes, testimonials. They engage with you via WhatsApp, discuss personalized orders, place the order, enjoy prompt delivery. Maybe they find a handwritten note to make them feel good. And then they're actually keen to share it, the cake photos on social media or tagging the bakery. The cake is really nice. And then there's engagement with other users with comments and fostering a sense of community. And more importantly, to go back to the customer and take feedback to really understand if they're satisfied with the entire experience and the cake. So this is a typical way, a very simplistic view. Customer journeys can be very, very deeply thought, very complex in nature. But this is really the start of design thinking, where you put customer at the center while designing the journeys. Okay, and finally, the distributor framework. So we spoke briefly about sales and distribution last time as well as part of go-to-market, but fundamentally, it's a 3-step process you need to take in mind. You identify the right distributors, make sure you check in with them regularly, incentivize valuable feedbacks, communicate actionable plans with them, And when you're incentivizing them, please make sure that you do delayed gratification, delayed reward programs, and think about non-financial incentives, which I'll speak about very briefly right now. And make sure you're continuously taking feedback from them, in terms of geography coverage, whether you're doing the right kind of volume in the target segment, and how is the relationship with the customer base. So when you think of non-financial incentives, I think this is something most of you don't think naturally. So I've only put this particular slide for you. Financial incentives, everybody understands. Think about things like using extended payment terms or offering them extended payment terms or giving them exclusive product access or doing some sort of a formal public recognition and appreciation program or creating co-marketing opportunities for them or maybe giving them networking opportunities by inviting them to industry events. Similarly, explore the possibility of delayed reward programs. Reward distributors not directly as cash incentives, but through a points-based system for selling your products, or referring you to new distributors and channel partners. These rewards could be delayed and be accessible only after a few months or years of consistent performance towards a particular goal. So this is an example of rewards which can really help build a strong distribution channel. So Euro 700 is an adhesives brand, and this is the market condition they faced. So they're into adhesives and resins, and the particular segment is wood adhesives. The major competitor is Fevicol by Pidilite. So the important distribution channels for them are industrial suppliers, building material distributors, online retailers, wholesalers. But all of them cater to carpenters. So what Euro did differently is that they made carpenters the distributors and created a reward program, which of course many others later followed. So on every bucket drum purchased by carpenters, they receive certain amount of points, not money directly, which are then recorded by a mobile app. And post a certain threshold, the carpenters can then redeem these points in return for gifts in several forms and modes of rewards. There are various ways in which you can do delayed gratification and compete very successfully by thinking about your distribution channel in an innovative way. So this is where we are. I will not repeat everything. This is all on your screen, and we can now actually open it for Q&A. Oh my God, I still took about 45 minutes, as fast as I potentially could do a summary.
So I see there are few questions here. Okay, Sunita, please go ahead.
Hello, Saurav. Good to see
Hello.
you again. Last time in between, my questions was, so today again I'm asking, how much budget we should keep for marketing? Because we have always constrained with the budget. So for marketing, how much money we should keep in monthly basis or just guide us? And 3-4 more questions I have. Should I put up all my questions?
Yes, you may. Go ahead.
Okay, what basically last 2 years, 3 years, I have concentrated on online selling. Now I want to enter the offline selling also. One major problem I'm finding with the pricing, like how to balance the online pricing with offline pricing.
Okay, all right, go ahead.
And other, I want to, I want to play how to reach our target market. I know my market is basically the mothers of small kids. So what are the different ways I should target them?
Okay. What else? That's
and
it?
last question about the competitors. Basically, competitors are big players. There is no one small like me are doing these kind of fabric books, but their reach is much more than me. Though my product is different, or I will say much more better, but their reach is far, far. So how can I balance that and how can I reach? Just guide me.
Great. I think the last one I addressed in the last meeting as well. So I'll go first with the last question. So I think in your case, just simply collaborate with your competitors. They have the reach. You got a unique product. It's a marriage made in heaven. What are you waiting for? Right. You have a unique product and they have the reach. Are you going to wait in setting up your reach? It's going to take ages, if at all you're able to do. Right. So just work with them. Make for them. There's nothing that stops you from making for them. I'm not saying don't build your own brand, but you'll grow much faster if you utilize their reach because you have a unique product, as you said. So that's something which I think you refused to acknowledge, it seems, last time. Therefore, I'm repeating it. How to reach your target market? Well, I think it kind of got answered, because you see, if you are short on resources and you find it very difficult to maybe create a lot of inventory, which you will then put into the distribution channels, because it might actually block your money. So
Yes.
it might be very helpful. Yeah, I think somebody needs to go on mute.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. I really feel that, if you're going to play like a very niche player, even if you figure out a way to reach your target market, it will start stepping up your financial resources in some way or the other. Either it's going to get stuck up in inventory or somewhere in the channel, or maybe the money doesn't come back, products are getting sold, but people pay you after a long time.
Yes,
My
yes.
suggestion to you is, I really think you should collaborate with your larger competitors, not the smaller ones, but the really large players. You could actually be doing large orders. Now, as far
Okay.
as offline, online pricing is concerned, generally speaking, let's understand consumer behavior here. If I'm a B2C consumer, my online behavior expects me to always seek deals and offers. I'm always looking for an opportunity where I can see, hey, this is 30% off, 40% off, 60% off. And of course, this has got created through how some of the Flipkarts and Amazons of the world really got created in India, or got established in India, right? So that habit is now deeply embedded. It's going to be very difficult to change. Even companies who are selling luxury products in India online, let's say a Jio or a Tata Click, or, they also put up a price which reads like 20,000 rupees, and then you have like 40% off, right? So
Yes.
now, and sometimes those SKUs are not even available offline, so you only get them online. So there's no way you can compare. But if I actually walk into a store, let's say I want to buy a Puma t-shirt, I could find a certain t-shirt online, which is at a great deal. But if I went to the offline store, I will not even find that t-shirt. I'll only find stuff which is fairly expensive. But when I'm in the
Correct.
store, and you'll notice that, I'm not so suddenly I lose my objectivity in terms of deal making. I'm just so enamored by the fashion around me. And I'm like, yeah, kuch to leke jana hai yahan se. And then you forget about deals at that time. And when you tell the customer that, the salesman that, hey, did you have a more affordable option here? No, this is the latest. You have to do this. There's so much of convincing and selling happening that you say, hey, no problem. I'll just buy the expensive t-shirt. So people tend to spend much more per unit in the offline environment, but people tend to buy more number of units online, but they have to be cheaper per unit. So understand the consumer behavior, don't try to change it, and make sure that you place your SKUs accordingly, what you want to sell online and offline, right?
Sure.
When it comes to marketing budget, this is one of those questions where it depends on your sector, on your product, on your turnover, on your competitive intensity. So there are no easy answers. If you're asking me for an easy answer, it doesn't exist. Do you need to spend money on marketing every month? The answer is absolutely yes. Right. But I think first start with marketing objectives. What do you need to accomplish? Not what do you want to accomplish? Sometimes I ask entrepreneurs, what do you want to accomplish? Oh, I want to be a national brand. But can you, number one, do you have the funds to advertise on television and mainstream media? No. So therefore, it's just a want. Yeah. Similarly, do you even need to become a national brand? Let's say you had the money, right? Maybe not, because your products are not available everywhere. So what's the point of advertising all over the country when you can't even sell your products, or you can't fulfill the demand that gets created? So start with marketing objectives, and then figure out the right playbook, whether it's a mix of online activities and offline activities and below the line, or, there's just such a big playbook. Today you can ask ChatGPT, can you create a marketing playbook for fabric books? And you might actually get many answers, right? But you have to apply your own common sense and intelligence. But this won't work for me, but this will work for me, and then you can decide what kind of budget you can allocate. As a percentage, if you're asking me, it again depends. So companies with very low margins, let's say if your gross margins are in the range of 0 to 5%, you obviously can't spend 10% of the sales on marketing, right? So you can only spend maybe 20% of your margins, on gross margins on marketing, not generally more than that. But if you had, let's say, 50% gross margins or 60% gross margins, maybe you don't need to spend 20% of that on marketing. Even lesser money might do. So I think it depends. But in any case, my suggestion is do not exceed 20 to 30% of your gross margins on marketing. Otherwise, you might start bleeding. Unless and only you are VC backed, venture capitalist backed, and the VC's mandate is grow at 100% month on month, not year on year. And you are allowed to burn money on marketing or acquire customers, right? If it's your own money, bad idea to overspend on marketing, in my view, or spend too much. You don't want to be losing money or burning money on marketing. Yeah. Okay. I think this would be, your questions would be, I think, useful for most others. So I'm guessing that covers a lot of ground, but let's listen to a couple of other people.
Yes, Maya, please go ahead.
Yeah, Saurabh, thanks for your suggestions the last time and how do consumers consume my product. But I was in Goa recently and sitting at a cafe, and I was just talking to this lady, and she says, see, in the next couple of months, I'm going to go into the curry business and I would love to consume your broth, but as a base for her curries. So now it gave a totally different spin about, because here the consumer is completely different. It's B2B and restaurant service. And there are these small format restaurants who cannot afford to make the broth, so they would rather buy it. So I just wanted a perspective of how does one go about, either, choosing this, or like you talk about collaborating, but what happens to my brand visibility? So I remember you saying earlier, it's okay if your brand doesn't get visible. So, but for me, it's there's a little bit of an attachment over there. So this is what's coming up for me. So I just thought I'll have your perspectives.
Sure. No, I think great questions again. So now, it's a hard thing, right? But you need to ask yourself, why are you in business in the first place, right? And you can say, oh, okay, for the passion of it, and I want to build a brand or leave a legacy and things like that. But listen, what if you're following your passion, building a brand, leaving a legacy, but you're very poor?
Right.
So, right, I don't think it's exciting for anyone to be in that situation.
No way.
Right? So my suggestion is, first be an entrepreneur rather than being a brand builder. The first thing. I mean, they're not in conflict with each other. But first, be an entrepreneur who knows how to earn money. Because even to build that brand that you're wanting to build, other than getting your positioning right or your strategy right, you will need money to spend on brand building, to let the world know about your unique offering. Or what if you don't have that money? Maybe you don't need money to meet your personal expenses. Maybe you're well-to-do and you've got great savings and a real estate property that pays off all the bills through rental income. But your business needs money. Don't forget that. You may not need as an individual, but your business needs money. Sometimes we're not able to create a distinction between the business and the entrepreneur. Right? I want you to create that distinction. Treat your business like a human being, right? Who also needs money to run its show. So if you're not creating a strategy or working on something that doesn't generate enough profits or doesn't leave enough positive cash flow at the end of the month, there's something wrong with your model. First, get that model right before you start building your brand.
Okay.
Right. In that sense, brand building can be secondary. I mean, look, this is someone who's a huge brand advocate. I've taught brand consulting for the last 15, 16 years, and I'm telling you that make it secondary if you can, if it's going to be in conflict with your entrepreneurship dream. Right? Now,
thanks so much.
I have known so many entrepreneurs who run both the bulk of the B2B and the B2C together by design, not by chance. It's a perfect hedge. Hedges create risk management, right? So अगर B2C अच्छा चल रहा है तो B2B कभी ठीक नहीं चल रहा, कभी B2B अच्छा चल रहा है, B2C ठीक नहीं चल रहा, तो balancing act. right? So do not think that you have to choose either or. They could counterbalance each other very, very nicely. Right? And that's the same advice for, I think, Sunita as well, who's a little bit confused about should she collaborate and do B2B stuff or should she do B2C? I think you can do both. Who said you have to choose? Yeah. All right.
Yeah, thanks so much, Saurabh.
All right.
Yes, Richa, please go ahead. Richa Tyagi. Richa? Okay.
I think she may have dropped out. Yeah.
Okay. So Dharini, please go ahead with your question.
Richa Tyagi is here. Do you want to come? Or...
Sure. Please
Yes,
go
yes,
with
yes.
your question.
Yes, I'm here, Madhulika.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah,
you so much, Madhulika. Hi, Saurabh. Saurabh, so I think my question has been just answered, but once
Okay.
again, I would like to ask in my way that at what stage we should look for franchisee option or we should opt for a franchisee option. Currently, my startup is at a revenue stage. And
Mhm.
I have seen my audience has been changed. However, what we were targeting initially, it was TAM, but now it is SAM. So should I go, because demand is there and we are getting request for franchisee.
Okay.
So should I go ahead with the franchisee option as of now when my startup is at a revenue stage and my audience has been changed from TAM to SAM?
Got it. And what is the nature of your business? What exactly do you want to franchise?
Yeah, it's a co-working space for mothers,
Okay. Okay.
exclusive for career passionate mothers.
Understood. And you have just one center for now?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So the ideal time to franchise is not when you're at the revenue stage, but when you're at the profit and positive cash flow stage. The reason for that is when you franchise, you're looking to appoint or attract another entrepreneur who's going to invest into setting something similar to what you've created or replicating the model that you've created. That's what franchising is all about. Now, if you haven't proven yet that this business can be profitable and cash flow positive, you're not ready to franchise. If you just revenue but you're not meeting up sufficient cost or not generating enough profit, or you don't have an ROI model in place, which can really say that, hey, if you're going to be investing 15 lakhs or 20 lakhs or 1 crore to set up a franchise, how much time are you going to take to recover the initial capex? What is going to be your return on investment? By when will you start generating positive cash flows? Now, you have to first prove that. And sometimes you have to prove that for 2 or 3 locations before the franchisee can really start trusting you. So I don't think you should be in a hurry, in my view. Just make sure that you prove that this business model, this operating model is just so perfect. It is so optimized to succeed. You will notice that franchises will approach you anyway.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Understood. Yeah, got it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much,
Yeah.
Saurabh.
All right. Yeah.
Can I go now?
Yes, please. Yes.
Yes, Dhari.
Yeah. Hi, Saurabh. So last time I tried to ask you about how to target the customer audience, and because I was confused with which way to focus, how to market, which segment to market. So now I wanted to understand what should be the ratio between the CAC and the average sale per customer. So what is the ideal percentage or what is the ideal ratio? Because I don't want to be I'm actually in that very unaware stage where I'm confused between what is the right amount to be on the CAC versus and what should be the average sales amount per customer.
Sure. And what's your product, Dharini? I'm so sorry, I've forgotten by now. So
No worries. We are a gifting company, so we procure all the materials from the manufacturers, and then we curate hampers and deliver.
Perfect. Are your customers B2B or B2C?
B2C.
B2C. That means people like me who would order gifts from you?
Yes.
Okay. So the reason I ask you this question is, again, the answer changes completely if it's B2B or B2C.
Correct.
Right? When you want to determine what is the right CAC, I won't tell you what is the right CAC. I'll tell you how to determine what is the right CAC. because it depends, right? Let's say you acquire a customer for the first time, and let's say the customer is Vijaya Suvarna from Bombay, right? And you somehow find her and she finds you. You spend some money on Instagram to find her. She got very interested in your product. And let's say the money you spent is 500 rupees to acquire her. When I say acquire her, not to get an inquiry. Don't confuse inquiries with orders.
Right.
Acquisition means Vijaya
Acquisition.
actually placed an order with you,
Placed an order. Correct. Yes.
right? And she paid you the money, not just placed the order,
Correct.
right? Yeah. So once that money has come in, let's say the money she paid for the gift that she wanted to give to someone was 3,000 rupees. Now, you could make the cardinal mistake of determining your CAC to average sales as 500 divided by 3,000. That's not the right answer, because that percentage will look very large. You say,
Right.
oh my God, 500 divided by 3,000 is very, very large. Like 16% of my budget is going in marketing. That's crazy. But just to acquire a customer.
Right.
But if your product is so good, or if your gifting solutions are so good that Vijaya keeps coming back, and she says, every 3 months, whenever I want to gift someone something, I'll go back to that. Right. And she places an order every 3 months for 3,000 bucks. By the end of the year, she spent 12,000 rupees with you. And now, if you figure out the CAC, it's 500 divided by 12,000. Suddenly, the
Right.
equation changes. Suddenly, it becomes so much more practical,
Correct.
right? Now the CAC is only 3 to 4%. It's no longer 16%. And what if you were to say that, hey, I'm never going to lose Vijaya. She's so happy with me. Now she's placing more orders. And she's also recommended to a couple of other people who started placing orders. And maybe by the end of 3 years, she's placed orders worth 1 lakh. Wow. Through her references as well. So it's 500 divided by 1 lakh. Suddenly the CAC has come down to only 0.5%. So practical. Now you would notice that if Vijaya was a B2B company, let's say she was not placing just one order of 3,000, but she was ordering 100 gifts to give it to someone at 1,000 each. That's already 1 lakh.
Correct.
Right? It's just 0.5% CAC, nothing. Right? Nothing at all. So you notice that, and with B2B clients, sometimes you can keep doing more orders over a longer period of time. So even if you had to spend 5,000 rupees to acquire a B2B customer, it won't hurt you. Even if you had to spend 20,000 rupees to acquire a B2B customer, it won't hurt you if the B2B customer keeps coming back. But if you were spending 500 rupees to acquire a B2C customer who buys a product worth 3,000 rupees, but never comes back, this is going to hurt you real bad.
But how do we try to create the balance, or how do we, set right that CAC amount for us? Like, what is the?
I just explained the whole science to you. Now you have to decide which customer to serve.
Okay.
Right? And then figure out how much can you spend to acquire that customer. And you have to figure out why this customer will keep coming back. Focus on getting the customer to buy again and again from you. Do not just worry about acquiring a customer one time and then just ab dekhe jayenge.
Right.
That's where we go wrong. That's where all business models, when they don't focus on repeat sales or getting the customer back again and again, they just worry about get the customer in for the first time, and that's about it. That's a wrong way to look at CAC. It will mislead you always, as I explained to you through a few examples.
Right. And like as we keep calculating the market size and all of these things once in a while, what is the ideal time frame to revise on the CAC, or to analyze, are we spending more or are we less? What is the ideal time frame? I think
you're starting from the wrong metric. So
okay,
you will come to CAC, or you should come to CAC, but first decide what is the customer type you want to serve. How many times will this customer shop from you? And what is the average order value each time? Get an answer to this first.
Okay.
Right? Which customer will shop how many times from you within 1 year or within 2 years? And at what average order value? Once you get the total value of sales, then you'll be able to say, oh, I think I can comfortably spend 5% of this, or 1%
Okay.
of it, or 20% of it.
And
So start
it's the
to
other
track
way.
much
I'm
later.
looking at
It's the other way.
Got it.
Exactly.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm looking at it the other way. Got
Yes. You're thinking cost first. You need to think of customer lifetime value first.
it. Like, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
You already
Thank you
have
so
a question. So how do you determine the long-term value? Well, it's a very complex mathematical formula, but I can tell you a simpler way to do it. Right. So you can obviously determine the long-term sales which a customer can give, like in Dharani's case, if let's say Vijay keeps coming back and over a 3-year period, she spends about 3 lakh rupees with you, right, through multiple orders. So that's sales, right? But let's say she also gives you a gross margin of 20%, which means out of 3 lakhs, you're able to get 60,000 rupees as gross margin. Just a back of the hand calculation, consider that 60,000 is your LTV. It's not a correct calculation. There is a more complex formula for it. But to keep things simple, focus on the gross margin you're going to earn over a 3-year period from the same customer, right? If you can think of a customer who can buy from you for the next 10 years, obviously the LTV will keep going up. Okay, who's next?
Vijaya, please go
Yes.
ahead.
Sorry, I've been
Thank you
using
so
your name
much.
without your permission.
You've been using
Yeah.
my name, so thank you so much. Like an opportunity. Hi. All right.
Hi.
So one question I already got an answer from what you told me, and I really loved when you said be an entrepreneur first before brand building. You're so right. Think of your business as a business. You might have started it out of passion, but look at it as a business and don't focus so much on brand building and spend all your money there. Such an important life lesson, I think, for most of us. So I love that part of it. I have my next question here was, how do you, in service industry, how do you market? Because it's usually the name of the person. So I'm into organization development services for SMEs, right? We've been in the business for about 17, 18 years.
Sure.
We have some incredible SME-based models, and our clients are very, very happy with us. But what happens is it's me and my co-director.
Yeah.
We are known. Our face is known in that industry. But how do you, how do you market without being visible all the time? Which I really don't want to be visible. Our product itself is good enough to be selling by itself, but it's the face. I mean, you have Mr. Vivek Bindra's face, even though his team might be doing the work, but his face sells. So how do you ensure that it's not your face that is selling and the product that is selling? That is one big confusion because one doesn't want to be visible all the time. Yeah.
Okay. So Vijay, service industry is not the same, right? So there are different levels of services. So there are the services which are low value services. So where the face of the person who's delivering the service doesn't matter. Yeah. Let's say there is a company which is into cleaning of railway stations, right? Now there could be 100,000 people employed by this company. You can't remember the face of each one of them, but it's service industry. So you know the company name, and you want to look at their credentials and their abilities to maybe use technology to clean railway stations better and so on, or doing it in a more cost-effective or consistent way. But if you're in a high-end service where you're trying to, let's say, provide advice or give solutions to clients, it's largely dependent on a talent or a human being, who, as much as you might say, is not the product, but ends up being the product, right? So what you're calling as the product and the person who's delivering the service is one and the same thing, fortunately or unfortunately, right? Because what you end up creating is always going to be a very unique output. It's not a consistent, like replicate, me too offering. You're creating something from your mind, from your experience, from your expertise. So you are the product, you are the service, and you are the brand, right? Now, if you're trying not to be visible, I think you're just postponing it. It's okay to be visible. You have to market your expertise because you are the provider, the primary provider. Like in most consulting firms, you have the partner model. or even a McKinsey has an organization practice, or a A1 Hewitt has an organization. People are not giving work to an A1 Hewitt or McKinsey. They're giving the work to the partner. If the partner moves from McKinsey to BCG, they still give work to the partner. There's not much to choose. So it is very important for the leader of a consulting practice to establish their personal brand. So do not hide. In fact, come out in the front. And if you want to market yourself effectively, educate people. Use an opportunity to educate people. For example, I'm a consultant too. Now, well, of course, I got invited by She Rises, but it's an opportunity for me to tell each one of you about how I think.
Right.
Now, it's not to say that all of you are going to come back and say that, hey, Saurabh, can you please consult and help us? Right now, I'm not in that mode where I need to sell. I'm only educating. Right. But at least a good number of you, 50, 60, 70 of you over the last 3 sessions, may have known that Saurabh knows a thing or two about go-to-market. Right. So my job is done. My marketing is done.
Right.
I don't have to do a front page campaign to tell the world about it. So what I mean to say is that use every opportunity as a thought leader, as a subject matter expert, to share your knowledge. That's the best form of marketing for a consultant like you. And don't try to hide. And I think Vivek Bindra is not the right model here in this case, because he's the face, but he's delivering a product or a productized solution where it may be recorded lectures or some other form of thing, but it's a very different model. Don't get confused. It's it's something that you may find very difficult to offer, because I'm presuming that you're highly customer oriented and you create customized solutions.
Yes. And we have taken the effort to scale up. So I have about 100 coaches, trainers, and consultants who have been trained in the past 10 years to, replicate the model,
Sure.
right? But people still want to come back to you.
Well, out of those 100 people, there may be only 4 or 5 who really are good at what they do. So
True.
just learning to coach and coaching are 2 very different things, right? As you realize.
True.
Right. So again, yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. No, go ahead, please. Ask you.
Yeah. So the second question related to exactly what you're saying is, how do you protect an idea, which is a new idea for the business, to expand the business? How do you protect it when you're collaborating with somebody? I think that might be a question for everybody. You spoke about collaboration. It's so exciting because you'll have other hands to help you to grow and to scale up.
So
How do you
I just have
protect
one question to you. Can you protect?
Can I protect? If I had enough funds, yes, I could. Yeah.
Nobody can protect.
Oh, nobody can protect. Okay, all right.
Nobody can protect. Even Apple can't protect its designs. Everybody copies them and they get away with it, right?
Okay.
But Apple might say that I do it best. That's all you can do. You can say that, hey, it's my idea and I do it best. By the way, many people think Apple is the innovator, but they also copy. So actually, nobody owns the idea. I mean, it's as much as we think we do. And we might create a framework from our experience and expertise and maybe try and popularize it, what we call as creating intellectual property assets, especially if you're into consulting. And you can market those IPs. So the best way to protect is to market them more aggressively. Tell the world that this is my framework. But having said that, people will use it and they will not give you credit. It's absolutely okay. At least they're using it. Take respite in the fact that at least it's okay. Right.
Okay, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. Okay. Yes.
Yes, Pratibha, please go ahead.
Hi, Saurabh. This has been a very enlightening session. So one of the things where I am at right now, the brand name is called the Huda Bar, and we manufacture clean, tasty, and healthy food. So what has happened with us is we've been in business now for about 6 years, and we've kind of scaled up and done our marketing a lot better in the last 2.5, 3 years. So the brand has got associated with sustainability, which is what we talk about all the time. So it's not just the loop in terms of procuring from the producer and giving additive, preservative-free food to the end consumer, but it is also that the packaging is sustainable. So it is, now we have said this with a lot of pride, that it is only paper, metal, and glass. Now, my problem now is that I am here. I have to go like this, otherwise I go down. So my shelf life is not there. When I'm packaging like this, I can't go retail. So this has become like a bottleneck for us now. So on one hand, there is a thought process. So we should go into the nitrogen flushing and we should maybe look at the multi-layered packaging and figure out some way of offsetting that, talking to our customers. But in the process, so we have a 40% returning rate of customers. We have a huge asset in that. Like we have these very loyal customers who also turn out, become our brand ambassadors at times. So that's the worry, that if we go the route of increasing the business this way, where we go the retail route, and I don't have an answer to that. I am right now grappling with that. So what does one do?
What kind of food products are these?
So I make energy bars, I make granolas, nut butters. We do, we procure raw honey, completely raw and safe honey from beekeepers directly. So it's all in the range of where anyone who's leading an active lifestyle, and we call our food on the go, healthy, tasty, clean food on the go. So
where is it currently available? On your own website?
So we are on Amazon on my website, and there are then some small e-com marketplaces where we are there. Not doing too great, but there are almost 35 small marketplaces that we have gone ahead and made ourselves available.
Yeah. So, my advice is very simple, right? I'm guessing that you're doing what you're doing because you're very passionate about, clean food and sustainability. And, if you were to just completely change your purpose or reason to exist, not only will you feel very uncomfortable with it, but you will also significantly dilute your brand equity in the market. The reason why you got accepted will get diluted, right? Of course, commercial considerations might come in and say, hey, but we're not growing, or we're not doing well enough, and therefore we have to compromise on our integrity or sustainability ethics or things like that. Baki sab bhi to kar rahe hain, so why should we do it? But then I think that's where you're now saying it's the end of Hudaba, right?
Yeah.
As a brand. I'm no one to advise you not to do or to do, but if at all you wanted to do the slightly unsustainable packaging products, why don't you create a totally new brand altogether for that? Why do you want to mix it up with this?
So keep this as the premium brand and have a completely different category.
Totally separate brand, right? For that kind of work. And for the Hudaba in particular, I suggest look for more markets, because of course, it's a niche category for now. People still don't fully care about sustainability as much as they say. I do think you may have opportunity to explore like, maybe creating gift packs or sustainable gift packs. I know a lot of corporates are becoming more sustainability oriented faster than consumers.
So if I may, we did that pivot about 2 years ago and started doing gifting.
So sorry, I don't want to get into specific ideas, but all I'm saying is you have to find more markets rather than compromising on the integrity of your brand. Right. So whether these markets exist in India or outside India, when I say more markets, what I mean is more consumers who care about what you do. Just for inspiration, I can share a very interesting fashion brand with you, US-based fashion brand. Study it and you will feel very excited about what they managed to do. It's a brand called Eileen Fisher. Pretty old brand. It's not a new brand. You're talking sustainability today. They were talking 30 years ago. And sometimes with brands like these, you just have to be patient. You will have your time in the sunshine. Just stick around, keep doing what you're doing really well, keep finding new markets, continue to invest in sharing your message to the world, keep educating people about why your products are better than others. And another 5, 10, 15 years, you will have somebody, maybe in next 3 years, maybe tomorrow morning, maybe a big food FMCG brand says, I want to acquire the Hudaba. They're doing such amazing stuff. You would have monetized anyway. So I think be patient with the Hudaba. And if you want to earn more money, create a separate brand altogether, only if you feel like you're comfortable doing it.
That's kind of helped clear a lot of cobwebs. Thank you.
All right. You're welcome. Please send the check. Yeah. Okay, great. Who's next?
Yeah, Sugandh, she is the last.
All right.
Yeah. Hi, Saurabh.
Sugandh is worried. So will I have to send a check? Madhulika never informed us about this, right? So yeah. Okay,
worries.
go ahead, please. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, currently I am running an offline business. I'm into education and IT, and I'm planning to launch a SaaS-based product. So that's basically a web intelligence platform for MSME. So I'm looking for small businesses who cannot have specialists that can manage their websites and the online presence. So I'm trying to create a do-it-yourself kind of a tool for them. Now, my problem is I'm about to launch it, but I'm not able to, identify the right target audience because it's an online product. It does not have geographical boundaries. So it can target multiple kinds of business. So how to go about it?
Yes. So the problem that you're highlighting is very popularly called as discovering the product market fit.
Yes, exactly.
Right. So the product is your web intelligence platform for SMEs, but SMEs is TAM. It's not SAM, it's not target market, right? So it's such a big space, right? Within that, you have to narrow down and say, which are these SMEs who are most likely to benefit from a product like this? Now, if you look at people who've never used a product like this before, or an expensive offering, but looking for an affordable offering, you'll find it very difficult. So it's better to find people who are familiar with your product category. They've at least used a similar product, but it's either expensive or not doing well enough for them. And now you've created an offering which has a better value proposition. So those kind of customers will find it easiest to start buying or trying your product first. I think forget about selling for now. I think what you're really seeking is get as many trials as you can, right? So that's one kind of thing. The other thing is that as much as you strategize about who to target, sometimes with products like yours, there are a lot of discoveries to be made. You can't know everything before you start doing something, right? I would say that get as many people as you can from across different markets to try out your product for free of cost. Take lots and lots of feedback and figure out who is enjoying the most, who's benefiting the most out of it. Instead of just talking to 5-6 customers and maybe they use it and give you negative feedback and you start changing the product. Maybe it's already good enough for some, not good enough for the 4 or 5 that you met. So your go-to market for now is as many trials as you can across different types of SMEs, but preferably those who have some experience of using something similar to what you have.
So how do I figure out that, like, who all are using what? Do I have to create some surveys or something?
I'm sure that you must have done a competitive study when you're developing your product.
Yeah. We know they're big competitors again. So being a small company, so competitors, we have big competitors.
No, but competitors who are serving SMEs. So.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. Right. And then look at some of the case studies and who are they talking to, run a survey, figure out that for this kind of a problem, which product do you use most frequently, give them options, the most popular ones, and because then you know that, okay, if you've given them an option of, let's say, 7 products and most people are selecting 2 or 1, as the most popular options, you know that they're going to be your competitor. Then do an apple to apple comparison and say why you're better than them, or if at all you're better than them. Then perhaps reach out to them and say that, hey, guess what? You're working on this, it seems, but we have a product which is better than them, and at a fraction of the cost, for free, for 1 year. Just use it. The only thing we expect you to do is use it.
So 1 year is the bracket where you can give your product free. Because
it's just a number I put it, right?
Yes,
it depends, right? But I'm just saying that with SaaS products, if you get the product market fit right, then the money you make is extraordinary. Just to share with you, so ChatGPT is a SaaS product. They don't make any money at all, and very little money, but they spend a lot on cloud, mainly cloud storage, right? They're a big burner, huge burner. They lose a couple of $1 billion every month right now, $1 billion, but they're currently valued at $90 billion, right? So I think you have to change the way you look at this kind of a business. Make sure that it becomes everybody's favorite. That should be your goal.
All right. Thank you so much. Thanks for the guidance.
Okay.
So we have one more person, Amita.
All right. Sure. Yes,
Amita.
Amita.
Okay.
Hi, good evening. That was
Hello.
a superb session. I have a very unique product and I have a lot of questions. So
Okay.
is it possible to reach out to you offline? How would that work?
If you were to reach out to me offline, I think we may have to get into maybe a coaching or a consulting model, which if you're not willing to pay, then I think the best thing to do is ask your questions here and I'll try to answer. But if let's say you need my support on an ongoing basis, then you can obviously reach out to me by email and we can discuss.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I'll do that. I'll reach out to you directly.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Amita. Okay. Yeah, we
So-
have one more from Sugan. Yeah.
Oh, Sugan.
No, it was by mistake. It's
All right.
thanks.
Okay, great. Okay,
All
perfect.
Perfect. So,
Okay.
any more
What else?
questions, anyone? I think today we had a extensive session of question and answers. I think everyone is satisfied today.
Thank you. I'm glad. Okay. I think Vandana has one final question. We could take that and then wrap up. Yeah.
Yes.
Go ahead, please.
Just a simple thing. I just wanted to check with you that do you help craft GTM strategies as a consultant?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I can
Thank
help
you.
with that. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, great. Thank you very much. And glad to be again here on your platform. Thank you so much for inviting me. It's completely my honor to be able to talk to all of you. Yeah, really appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank you so much,
you so much.
Saurabh,
Thank you.
for answering all the questions so patiently. Thank you so much.
You're most welcome. Thank you.
Thanks, Saurabh.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Okay, ladies. I hope you all had all your questions answered. I had a lot of queries in the previous session that there were many questions and they were not taken up. So I'm glad we could have this session.
So we can reach out to Saurabh through the LinkedIn link that you've shared last week?
Yes, you can.
Okay, thank you.
And today we do not have any feedback form because this was a continuation of the last year's last session. So you have less work today.
I was not able to attend the last session.
Acha, okay. So I'll put in the feedback again, and I think we have put in the recording in the group, so you can have access to the recording.
I've gone through that recording, not a problem. I just don't want to miss out on the attendance.
Oh, acha, ठीक है. I'll look into it. And I see that everyone has shared their social media handles. So I would request each and everyone to start networking, start following each and everyone so that there'll be a lot of opportunities for everyone. Yeah.
Madhulika, my social handles are not yet ready because it's work in progress. So how does one go about it? Does one accelerate it? Or because, you just need the right language and conversation till you get it clear. So what would you suggest?
So I think there's no hurry because you just keep the data with you. And once you are ready, start distributing it to people. So that will be the best.
Or you could share your personal handles. So at least we'll be connected.
Okay, great. I'll do that.
Yeah. I also had, one suggestion for you that you should look at companies which are doing pet food because bone broth is big.
That's I'm in the pet market. That's right.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks so much.
So thank you everyone for joining the session. So see you on Friday next week.
Thanks. Thank you, Madhulika. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Madhulika. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.